Welcome to the La Dolce Vita Show, a woman's guide to living a fearless and fabulous life. My name is Heather Picken, and I am here to give you that winning formula so that you can get clear on your vision, stay true to your values, and break through those mental walls. Check out my free resources at heatherpicken.com. This podcast is brought to you by Fierce Femme Wine, a woman's wine that inspires dialogue for change. Visit fiercefemme.com. So let's get ready as we uncover the formula to your success in business, career, and fabulous life. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the La Dolce Vita Show, a woman's guide to living a fearless and fabulous life. Right here on the show, we break down that formula on how you can be more powerful in your business and every single area of your life. So maybe you're watching this and maybe you have a family, you have kids, and you're wondering, hey, how can I really manage all of this? Like, do I really have to give up who I am and everything else? Do I have to choose? Well, today, my guest, Madeline Lambert, has the formula. We're going to break it down. We're going to be talking about family and some of the challenges that she had growing her business and, how you can apply that to your own business and life. Her business, actually, she's the co-founder, is generating $50,000 a month of reoccurring revenue. So she's certainly doing something right. So Madeline, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and we were just chatting before we started doing this recording, and you just had a baby.
Yes, I just had a baby in July, a little baby boy. His name is Ethan, and he's really, really fun.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. So this topic is going to be really important. I mean, even women that don't have kids, it's kind of like, just how do I, create a balance, or is there any such thing as a balance, when you're building your business? So, kind of tell me about your journey getting into this business and navigating around all of the things that you have to do first. So let's start there.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, I started this business about 2.5 years ago. I initially moved to a really small town called Collingwood, Ontario. I had previously been living in Toronto, and the lifestyle was just not where I wanted to be at that point anymore. Like it was just too fast paced. I was stuck in traffic for hours on end. And so I decided to create like a little quiet life for myself and my partner up here. So I guess I got into this business because there's not a whole lot of industry in this neck of the woods. And I was finding it hard to find employment in my sector. So I ended up teaming up with a local guy here who did a lot of SEO and a lot of marketing and had quite a few businesses online, actually. And he had originally hired me to sort of figure out how to create content for his portfolio of websites in a systematic way, and really work on the content marketing side of his businesses. So I did that, and we sort of wrapped up that process and called it Content Refined at the end of the day, and launched it to a wider audience. And so that's how we sort of founded this business a couple years ago.
I love it. And just, talking about your story, how you were living in an area that you weren't aligned with, you couldn't find a job, and all of a sudden you partner up with someone else, and then this business is birthed. And I think that's so important, as, when we're talking about breaking down the formula, that sometimes chaos or confusion, or if things are not in alignment, means that you're supposed to go in another direction. And you
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love
And
that.
I think that really listening to, your intuition that everything's going to be okay and that you're going to figure it out, and that you're ambitious enough to really figure it out, goes a long way, and it allows you to open doors that you didn't know were really there. So
I love it.
yeah.
On this show, we talk about it's all about breaking through your fear. Fear is the number one thing that will hold you back from, living your best life, really breaking through your limitations. So, what were some of the conversations you had with yourself before leaping into this venture, even like moving, from the big city to
Yeah.
a more rural part of town?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me was that I was very much raised in a way that, if you had a job, you wouldn't leave it unless you had something else lined up. And that was
Mhm.
like ingrained in my value system for like my entire life, because my parents were raised that way, and they always like really, really, really drove that into us, that like, if you don't have a plan B, you have to stick with your plan A. And so for me, that was a huge, huge leap out of my comfort zone, because I didn't have anything lined up. And so I made this decision knowing that I didn't have anything lined up. And it went against everything I stood for and everything that I had been like, my parents trained me to believe in this.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so that for me was the biggest thing. And then you're dealing with like the fear of judgment from people that you really care about, so like how to maneuver telling my parents that I was moving to a rural area that didn't have a lot of industry and I didn't have a job lined up, you know even though I'm almost 30 years old. That was a huge, huge thing for me. I didn't want to, tell my family that I had made this decision without having a backup plan. So yeah, it was really, having that conversation with myself was really challenging. And, but I'm glad I did it. And I'm glad that I stepped out of my comfort zone, and it really forced me to figure things out.
I love that. And it's true what they say, everything that you want is outside of your comfort zone. And I
Definitely.
really want women to listen to this story, is that you cannot create a big vision, mission, and business, or go to the next level of your career if you keep doing the same things, like keep playing small. So here you were playing small, listening to your parents' beliefs, and, just kind of taking that on as their that this is a truth, and all of a sudden you're like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, what's outside of this comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were going through that decision making, because I know this is going to help women, did you feel like right before you said yes, did you feel like this uncomfortableness in your body? Like, kind of walk me through that process.
Oh, absolutely. As I was packing up my things in Toronto, I had this like total overwhelming feeling of regret. I was like, what am I doing? Like, oh, should I have done this? This is like a ridiculous idea. This is crazy. But yeah, really, really taking a step back and sort of assessing where you are and where you would like to be, and really coming to terms with the fact that, yeah, if you continue doing everything that you're doing right now, nothing's ever going to change, and you're not going to be able to pursue the things that you want to pursue. I think that really sort of helped me step back and make that decision. But it is like a totally overwhelming feeling of guilt um, and almost regret,
Right. And what were some of the things, so when you made that decision, you're like, hey, I'm doing this, what were some of the things that your parents said to you?
Um, oh, well, I think that they were just concerned. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to raise your kids in a way that like um, that you don't have plan B figured out. I think that has been a really, really good thing in my life growing up for most other things, right? Like, but it is a conservative view. And yeah, I think they were just kind of like, are you sure you're making the right decision? Are you like, how are you going to figure it out? Like, what connections have you made in this town that you think are going to lead you to success? Like, what kind of options do you have? Like, those kinds of things, which were genuine concerns. I would probably feel the same way in, 25 years from now, if Ethan moved away from home and settled in a small town with no jobs. Of course I'd feel the same way, but I would also have faith that he was smart enough and ambitious enough to figure it out for himself.
Exactly. So here you are, you moved into your new city. Then what happened? I mean, did you hit the pavement trying to look for a job? What did you do to make that connection to start your business?
Yeah, so that was actually also a bit of a fluke. I like to call it serendipitous, because I had been chatting with a girlfriend from home, and she ended up having a connection on Facebook from this girl that she went to university with that had settled down in this town as well, like Collingwood as well. And she had posted something on her social media talking about this John guy, my now business partner, and how he was looking for a like marketing expert to help him with his business. So I reached out through like the several weird broken line of communication with this girl and ended up making this connection, and the rest is history.
I love it. It's such a great story when you break down the formula so far. It's like you were not aligned living, in the place that you were, and you had to go against, the traditional paradigm of what your parents said. Hey, no, you got to play it safe. You're like, no, I want something more. And you're going through that kind of second guessing yourself. Should I be doing this? But I know I want to be doing this. And then as soon as you said yes to yourself, you start attracting this beautiful opportunity to you. And fast forward now, you've got this business that is really successful.
Yeah. It's been great. And I mean, I think that there's a lot to say about leveraging your network and really having those conversations with people and making sure that people know that you're available and looking and where you're at and what your interests are. And I think it's really important to network properly.
I agree. I always say, your connections are your currency. And
Absolutely.
So you never know who knows that person. I actually have a good friend that got a job through just networking. Instead of putting out a resume, she was connecting with people, telling people, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And in a short, just like a couple of weeks, it was just very short amount of time, she got a job. So
yeah. Well, that's how my husband got his job here as well, was just through chatting with people and that's how he landed his awesome job up here. So and like apparently, so I've heard, even if you are sending out your resume, if people don't know you in this town, you're probably not even going to get an interview. Like it's very word of mouth here. It's very small, and unless you really know somebody, you're probably not going to get the job.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe that. Now let's talk about, so now you have a successful business. You recently in July had your son.
Yes.
So the question is, how do you really navigate around, those things? Like when you found out you were pregnant, what was going through your mind about your business and the baby?
Yes, this is my favorite topic. So my son wasn't planned. He was a wonderful surprise. And so it was one of those things where obviously we were thrilled, but it kind of threw a bit of a wrench in my business plan. So excuse me. But now when I look back, getting pregnant was probably the best thing that could have happened to the business. It really, really forced me to get my shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it forced me with a very real, like, ticking time bomb. You couldn't move that date back. But it really, really forced me to proceduralize the business to a point where I could successfully walk away from it for a short period of time. And so that was probably the hardest thing, but the best thing that could have happened to the business, because it allowed us to scale in a really, really smart way. And it allowed me to really build out the foundation of the business. And now I know that it can withstand anything. It can withstand me literally like wiping my hands clean of it for 7 months. And that for me is a sign of success.
I love that. So actually having a baby forced you to leverage, what you're doing, focus on a schedule so that you could also grow the business. So it was actually a benefit. The baby was a benefit to your business.
Absolutely. And I mean, it could have really gone both ways,
Right.
If it was kind of a sink or swim scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But it really, really did force me to think about the business long term, think about what missing procedures I had, and to really create them and make sure that the foundation of the business was super strong.
It does speak to Parkinson's law, that you basically fill your space and time, whatever you're filling your space and time with the highest priority things is really going to help you. If you don't, then you just filling it up. I always say you're filling up your space and time watching cat and dog videos on
Facebook. It's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, sometimes you need that reset. So what was your mindset during the process of being pregnant as you were creating these systems and you had to be focused? Was there a particular daily routine or things that you would say to yourself during that process so that you could be most effective and efficient?
That's a really great question. So yeah, the first 3 months were a complete write-off for me because I was very sick. But then once I got back to work, I sat down with John, my business partner, and we wrote out our sort of reevaluated mission value statement, and then figured out a list of things that we needed to do before I left. So that was basically like an org chart, and it was an org chart for the present, for the future, and so that allowed us to really visualize what procedures were missing, what staff were missing, in order to successfully step away from it. And so at that point, I was pretty energized because I knew exactly what I needed to do, and I knew sort of how to do it. And so that's when I made my first really important hire, which was my employee, Laura. She's still with us. She's amazing. And I knew that she needed to fill my role. So she started shadowing me months and months before I actually took off for maternity leave. So I was very, very confident by the time I left that the job would get done properly. And now that I'm back, I don't want my job back. She can keep it. She's doing a great job at it. And I will move on to sort of more of a business development side of things.
I love that. In one of the most important things that you were talking about, really getting clear on your vision, mission, and purpose, because one of the things that I do in my work is I help women leaders and visionaries get crystal clear on their vision so that they can attract the right people and resources, because when they see it, when they visualize it, they have that clear vision, then it's easier for them to align themselves with the right people. Most people don't have a vision, therefore there's chaos ensues, right? So yeah, I totally appreciate that process. But also, if a woman doesn't have that opportunity to maybe hire someone, right? They have to learn how to at least get clear on their vision so that it can take the steps, that they need to get done in their business.
Exactly. And I think getting clear on your vision allows you to create a clear list of action items in order to get there, which is a really useful exercise to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You got to write that on, you got to write it down on paper. I always say too, it's like when you're writing something down on paper and you're connected to it, like with your feelings, you're actually creating a motor and sensory experience. There's different things that happen in your, with neurons that act in your brain that you can actually, it just helps you to like take all that information and go, I can see it. So
Yeah.
therefore, I'm going to do it. So
Yeah.
that process
It
is
almost causes
important.
like a cause and effect
Yes,
reaction. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's shift gears here and let's talk about your business, Content Refined.
Yeah.
What is it and why is it important, and who do you really serve with this business model?
Yeah, absolutely. So Content Refined it's a content marketing agency. There's a lot of different forms of content marketing. So there's like video marketing, there's social media marketing, but we focus on like blog article writing, and really hone in on the factors around what makes content rank. So quality, relevancy, and consistency are the things that we really focus on. And we believe that we've created like a science around content marketing, and we are able to produce content that will predictably rank on Google. And so that's sort of our bread and butter. We like to serve all sorts of different, so I guess our target audience are people who have like quite a few projects going on at once, people who maybe have like a portfolio of websites that they need consistent content for. But we also serve small to medium-sized businesses who just need to attract more Google hits, essentially, and who are exploring content marketing as a solution.
I love it, because it is important. If people are always researching, for information, where do they go? They go to Google. So
yeah,
if you're curating that content and that person goes to, your website, guess what? You get more eyeballs to your site, and then cha-ching.
Exactly. And, Google like gets more and more sophisticated in their algorithms, and we really make a point of using our data analysis projects and leveraging their results in the way that we create content for our clients. And that's a full-time job. So if you have a business and you're trying to run the business, do all the marketing, and like if you're a one man or woman show, that like staying on top of all the Google changes, staying on top of all of the marketing trends, is going to suck up a lot of your time if you're doing it properly. And so we like to be that solution for people.
Awesome. I love that. Madeline, before you go, I know you've got a gift or a special offer. You want to share that with our listeners, and we will have the link in the show notes where they can get that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for people who might not be ready to outsource content or want to like keep it in-house, I have like a downloadable list of our article writing SOPs that I'm happy to share, and that will essentially give people the bones on how to write good content for several different types of articles. So we've got buyer's guides, we've got review articles, we've got blog articles, etc. So I'll share the link there, and you just need to put the promo code podcast in the box there to download that file. And if anybody would like to try out our service, we would be happy to onboard new clients, and we can offer a 20% off discount for this podcast by using the promo code podcast on your checkout page.
Love it. Madeline, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. And before we go, those that are either watching or listening on iTunes, don't forget to pick up a bottle of your Fierce Femme wine. So if you don't know, this is my latest label. It's my Superpower Cabernet. And I also have my Vote Fierce. This is so timely. Chardonnay. You can go to fiercefemme.com. Until next time, this is Heather Picken, and live fearlessly. Take care. So if you like what you hear on this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe. Interested in becoming a sponsor or learning more about leadership for women's performance using neuroscience or business coaching, contact support@heatherpicken.com. And don't forget to grab my latest book, The La Dolce Vita Formula, by going to fearlessandfabulousbook.com. That's fearlessandfabulousbook.com.